So welcome to a Visionary Activist interview with artist Jonathan Lyman. I'm Sammy Aaron with The Resilient Activist, and we are here today to be inspired and uplifted and blown away by some of his amazing artwork. So, Jonathan, I'm so happy to have you here with me today. And we're just going to start off. I'll let you introduce yourself, whatever you feel like saying.
All right. Well, thank you. I call myself an art sorcerer because that seems like a really fun title. Because my artistic process is very mysterious. Basically, I found that my mission is to create heavenly earth because somewhere along the way, I realized that that's all of our mission to do that. But it just became really clear to me last year. And then I started using my art to help people capture visions in their community, in their home, how it would look like as a more heavenly place. It involves allowing spirit to express itself in that place, allowing knowledge to express itself, being the vessel for that. So it's very mysterious.
That's a great way to create. So tell me a little about your background. How did your artistic ability develop, or what training have you had, or what endeavors have you gone into from your artist perspective, or other aspects of your life too?
Okay, well, I always felt a very strong presence, a spiritual presence that was guiding me. However, when I was about 4 years old, my mother dropped a stack of paper and crayons on the floor for me to play with, and I instantly became, involved in that and started drawing ever since. And just naturally, this gift of art just naturally occurred. I just felt that it was so natural, and eventually went to art school and started, asking the big questions. Why am I here? What am I doing? What's this? Yeah, I went to art school, and after I graduated in 2010, I started asking, why am I here? The spiritual presence was still with me, but I wasn't able to make sense of my direction in life until recently.
So did something happen recently? Have you been in connection with people in different organizations, or maybe a deep connection to nature? I know that was one of the things when we first met that you talked about, really wanting to get more awareness and involvement in native land restoration, pollinator habitat, that kind of thing, sustainable land use. So is there some aspect of that comes to mind?
Those are all things that knowledge confirms. Those are all good things that need to be attended to. But the general connection I made, it's very mysterious. The spiritual presence is with me. I'm 9 years old. I'm looking in the backyard at the forest, and it's speaking to me, and I feel this relationship with nature. And that just kind of followed me throughout my whole life. And it just became stronger and stronger and more clear as I became less trying to be accepted by humanity and more accepting myself. Accepting, we're all here. We all come from heaven. We're all here to bring heaven to earth. But for me, it feels like a strong emphasis. And being involved in nature, I'm a Taurus, so I'm an earth sign, and it's another confirmation of, yes, nature, be in relationship with nature, be sustainable, and use my art to show what knowledge is trying to express in our relationship with the earth. And here we are.
Yeah. So would you say that you have some particular avenues in your life right now? When I think about the term visionary activist, right? So we know you have the vision, and you've had that vision since you were 4, and you refined it when you were 9, right? And you've been working on it ever since then. Have you had a sense, maybe over the past couple of years or whatever, that there's a specific path or a specific connection that you want to make that kind of allows you to express that vision?
Yes, it's kind of broad, but also specific in that I feel drawn to individuals and communities. So empowering individuals, approaching them, but also being approached by them, and working with small groups. I always enjoyed the classroom setting because it was a small, very collaborative, intimate, but very dynamic relationship where there's not too many distractions, but there is a focus on the well-being of the group. But at the same time, I'm taking my art, the individual is giving me their life situation, and I am using my art to express what knowledge is wanting to express in their lives, in their environment. I'm very drawn to the environment. So the form of things, how can we transform the home and the local community, just a specific site in the local community where knowledge within us gets to express itself.
Yeah.
That following knowledge part is very mysterious. We don't know what it is, but we do know where our home is, and we do know places in our community that we want to improve. And we know specific individuals who are in need. And so those are the areas where we get to apply, where I feel it's most relevant to apply the knowledge.
So I know you have been involved in a couple of local groups, so you're in the Kansas City area, and have had some artistic collaboration or opportunity to get that out, to express it for some specific projects. So is that something you'd like to talk about now? And if so, where would you want to start?
Yeah, when I became more clear of my intention, I started connecting more with people, and one man, Carl Anthony Stafford, he is an activist in his neighborhood. He approached me. We actually went to art school together, but we never really become involved until I became clear on my intention. And he asked me to capture his vision of a particular spot near Swope Park. We came up with, all of the inspirations that have been brewing inside us, kind of just went out into this vision, and it became the recreational power plant, where we're using all the sustainable knowledge that we know of and trying to see how technology and humans can, or how people can generate electricity and energy through the park so that the park is self-generating and self-sustaining.
So is this where I can share the screen and you can talk a little bit about what's on
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes, the recreational power plant.
Yeah.
The power tower. So it's just an idea, but the relationship with nature is integrated into everything, and we're trying to honor that relationship. So this power tower is like the center of the park, and that is where we can gather the sun and the rain and the wind, and even methane gas from our unspeakable processes of life, to gather those resources to create energy. That's basically every aspect of this park is seeing where the flows of energy are coming in and how we can use those to sustain the park and to sustain life. And I feel that this is how cities should be designed, that there should be time taken to honor the relationship and to see where the energy is flowing and to invest that back into the community.
And so is this recreational power park, who commissioned that? Like, is there an organizational piece or a government piece or an agency that you have their attention, and this is like a first initial brilliancy coming out of here's what it might look like? Or
Yeah.
has it not gotten that far yet?
Well, this is just Carl's and I initial vision, and we have presented it to Parks and Rec, and they've advised us and they've complimented us, and we've been sharing it on Facebook, and people have been giving their feedback. And so that's just the beginning stages of how we're developing this. He's the president of that neighborhood, the fifth district, south side of KC,
I see.
and this
So
is within that district.
okay, if we can just take a minute here, and if you can see it, maybe just read it to be sure that it shows up when people are watching the video, just kind of briefly all the different sections that are highlighted here.
Yeah, so starting from the left, top left, we have the storage area and a mural. So there's a little building, or it's pretty large actually, the storage for maintenance for the park, but also the roof captures water, the rainwater, and there's also solar panels on the roof. So different elements are integrated to honor the flows of energy of nature. That mural on the side of that storage shed is a backdrop for an artist mound, which you see right next to it. And the artist is creating their things and displaying their art. And there are people skating around the whole, it's basically a square, like a town square. And in the middle of that is a globe that actually spins. And if the skaters come by, they spin that globe and it creates energy, a kinetic energy. So the energy flow of skaters is becoming more utilized. It'd be fun to skate around a globe and spin it, and really know that you're contributing to the energy of this place, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything in the park is oriented towards that interaction, towards that play, and also a seriousness of, yes, we are conserving resources, but also playing at the same time. And at the top, there's windmills everywhere. There's this skaters infinity. I call it the infinity because it's shaped like a figure 8 kind of, where you have skaters square on one side, and then you have the more rugged skaters like skateboarders and kids who like to do tricks get their space to really play around. There's machines where the skaters can push a lever as they're going by, or as they're doing a trick, they land on a ramp and it absorbs the impact of their fall and will generate a battery and bring power back into their street lights if they're ever skating at night. But also the skating ramps are like pools that collect rainwater. So the rainwater is collected and it doesn't go off site. It doesn't run off, and it's used, it's filtered. People can drink it from the fountains, or any excess will go into the rain garden, which you see on the bottom right. You get a fresh water experience that's all coming from the local environment. And there's paths. We thought of using, because Missouri is very rich in clay. So we thought of honoring that resource that we have. And I think that if you can bake the clay and create gravel, like clay gravel out of it. But we have to research more about that. I'm not sure that's a good idea. There's that.
It sounds like a good idea.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it has this beautiful red pathway. That's, the Missouri clay.
Mm.
So he had this idea of having a life-size chessboard. There's a gaming area where people can play chess literally on tables, but also a large life-size chessboard.
Mm-hmm.
There a yoga pavilion there that you're pointing at.
Mm-hmm.
There's it captures rain and it captures sunlight, and you can do yoga under that. And right next to that is an exercise park where the energy of the fitness enthusiasts is absorbed into these machines and goes to power whatever we're needing to power. I think it's mostly just street lights.
Well, let me just ask you, so underneath all this, then obviously you've got rainwater, you've got water capture tanks, right? And some of that would happen under the ground. And then also all the battery backups and things like that, where would that storage be? Is that underground also?
There should be a central point where, probably in the storage shed area, where everything is routed to a central battery. As far as the water goes, the water flows will be everywhere, so that would be more, that won't be as centralized. So
Cool.
yeah,
Talk about the food forest here, and you've got a permaculture plot,
yeah, we
and
want to integrate food production because our dependence on food coming from far away is very unsustainable. And we need to create security more locally to grow our food more locally. So you have gardeners who are coming here to do their thing, to practice their passion, and it creates a more sustainable, cohesive community for the park. People
love
can,
it.
come around, come visit the park and have an apple and feel that safety of that place.
Yeah. And then after they have the apple, you have a composting station as well as the outhouse composting toilet. And I know that there's a dog poop composter too. So can you talk a little bit about how you would visualize this kind of composting to happen?
Yeah, the dealing with waste. There's power in that if you can do it correctly, do it safely. There's a really simple way where you just put a bucket in the outhouse, and after you're done with your business, you put wood chips over it, and then you put that bucket into a separate composting area where the elements of nature will break down all the harmful bacteria to a point where you can recompost it, keep returning it until it becomes just useful soil that you can put onto the garden. There's it's a simple composting technique that you just over time will become usable soil, and that just gets reintegrated back into the garden.
So I'm picturing, if this is a big public area, you're not talking about, a family of 4 flushing their toilet, 8 times a day or whatever. You have there'd be a lot more to compost along with the dog poop. And if we're encouraging people to walk, this is an area I'm not very familiar with, is how this would happen on a larger scale than in home.
Well, there has to be educators there too, and also signage that makes sure people know how to use the facilities, but it's extremely simple. You do your thing, and then you put wood chips over it, and then that bucket is then taken by the Parks and Rec department. If they're operating the park, they'll deal with the compost. There should be an educational component to get people oriented.
Wow, this is just beautiful, Jonathan. Anything else about this that you want to talk about? And we'll move on to kind of some of the next images that you have.
That seems pretty good.
What's the status of it right now? What's happening? You said you've made contact at the Parks Department, and kind of what's actually happening right now. Anything?
We've gotten a lot of feedback, and they use the term buy-in. They're looking for buy-in from the communities. So a lot of people from Kansas City shown enthusiasm, also gave specific feedback as to, some concerns, just the concern about how the waste is being dealt with. So all those concerns are being addressed. And so it's just a matter of compiling this feedback and then representing it to the higher ups in the Parks and Rec, and then seeing where it goes from there.
How can people give their feedback to show the Parks Department that there is buy-in from the community?
They are submitting their feedback on Carl's site, and he'll have all those comments recorded. But we can also show them our Facebook posts where people are participating.
So we can get that a link from you for that site maybe, and put that in the show notes. Will that
Absolutely.
work?
Absolutely.
Great. This is fantastic. I mean, I'm just the whole piece of kids skating and spinning the earth and creating energy, and it's just brilliant. I'm just like, this is so cool.
Yeah, because then you can implement very simple aspects of that in your immediate environment.
Yeah, and the whole concept of having energy, clean energy, easy to access energy, just become part of how we live our lives. right?
Mhm.
Rather than relying on a coal-fired power plant and all the implications from raw materials all the way through air quality issues. This is brilliant and it's
A
beautiful.
huge shift.
It is a huge
A lot
shift.
of work that will be needed, but
Mhm.
it's also very simple, so that will help.
Yeah, but it's the visionary part, you know, it's like I've been at this a long time in the environmental community and in the, you know, green business concepts. And this is a visionary shift for me, you know, and I think that's where we're headed. I think that's what's really important. So you have some
Thank you.
other, do you have some
That's
other
really confirming.
things to share? Yeah.
Yeah, so share some more relevant stuff.
Okay.
So this is a sidewalk power plant. You saw an aspect of that in the power tower in the recreational power park, is that I just kept getting visions of, you know, what would be, because I was thinking of public art and how most public art is not very accessible to the public, and it doesn't really give much to the community except for maybe something pretty to look at. So I wanted to come up with a piece of public art that was beautiful but also functional, and you know, it serves a purpose. It serves a higher purpose, and it gives back by collecting the wind and the rain and the sun and the methane from the sewer, and contributing it all back to this immediate environment. So it's enhancing the environment.
Let me say this again. Collecting the methane from the sewer. Oh my gosh. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're walking down Kansas City and you just get a whiff, you know, of
I
that
know.
lovely Kansas City, or you're walking down New York, you know, the streets, and you get that whiff, and it's like, wow, how can we use that in a way where we don't have to inhale that, and it's being put to use, because it is a gas and it is it's combustible, so we can use that, and I wanted to see, you know, it's an engineering challenge,
Sure.
but that's exciting, and that motivates me.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
rain can also the rain can fall into that sewer drain, but the methane is also being absorbed into it. The petals, it's a solar flower that rotates with the sun. It reads where the sun is going and just rotates with it, so that sunlight is constantly being absorbed until it sets.
Wow. Okay. What else you
Yeah,
got?
yeah. I got stuff.
The guy thought you did.
Okay, so the next one, yeah. So I'm trying to challenge myself to create artworks that are not just pretty, but serve a practical function. Which, you know, a pretty object in your house does serve a practical function, because now you don't have to stare at a blank wall, but you have something to lift your spirits. But that wasn't enough for me. I needed to express this need to honor our relationship with nature, which is very neglected in the world, I think. So I came up with a composting pumpkin, and I had this idea of, okay, composting is important. How can I make composting really sexy? And so I put, you know, this composting bin, and just made a really nice exterior, you know, made it look really pretty. And you have the clovers, and you have the rocks, and you have someone contributing their piece of trash to the bin, and it's like, and it's just glowing. So it's just simple. It's reminding you that yeah, nature is helping us if we contribute to it. I wanted to elevate, I wanted to exalt the process of composting, because we can all use our trash. We can all put our trash into the compost bin and use that for our gardens.
Wow. So there's a concept here as I look at this glorious image, and I'm thinking first to myself, I wonder if someone could actually build that and we could all have one in our backyards. But anyway, that's a different topic. But that the idea
Yeah.
of the hand, well, wait, is that a real thing? Have you talked about it?
I talked about
Actually creating it as a product, that people could purchase, your pumpkin composter.
that would be fantastic. However, I don't think my marketplace is on that level yet.
Yeah,
I want to show people the progress. As I'm building my own garden, I'm implementing these principles and
cool,
showing, yeah, different aspects. So it's really
cool.
more of the inspiration to see how you can get creative with your own composting.
And how beautiful it can be. So the
Yeah,
concept of this really sweet, gentle hand, just gently dropping, it looks like a leaf maybe,
yeah, this
down
piece of paper, yeah, a piece of
piece of
cardboard.
paper. Yeah. There's a concept that I've learned recently from the interior design industry called hand printing. So you have, for example, your carbon footprint. Well, there's this concept of your carbon handprint. And the
Hmm.
handprint it's a metaphor that as you understand more deeply and begin to change how you live your everyday life, or how you manage a corporate building environment or a corporate warehouse environment or manufacturing, anything that we do as consumers, right? That when we learn something, a skill, a technique, a product, a philosophy or a way of living that feels really in alignment with regenerative, healthy earth, that we find the way to hand that out to others, to make it really simple, to have our handprint take what we've gotten from our carbon, reducing our carbon footprint, and hand that out to others. So just as a really simple example, if you have a business, and I'm talking about the day when our businesses are all back open again, right? So we're in the middle of the coronavirus shutdown right now. But if a business owner decides to start recycling in there, let's take it a little retail shop, and they're going to recycle, and they're going to have their employees, put whatever trash they have or whatever that might go into the landfill that could be recycled. They're going to actually have recycled bins, and they're going to, contract with a recycling company or Ripple Glass or whatever. That's a fantastic step A, is make that decision, get the information, get the contacts, get the bins, actually make that happen. The hand printing piece comes in where those bins are not hidden in the back room or out by the trash bin in the back of the building. That those recycling bins are ones that are glorious like this, are
Glorious,
out, pardon?
glorious.
That is glorious, are out in front, right? They're by the door, to make
Yes.
it very simple, a simple statement for everyone who walks into their environment to say, this is who we are and what we believe, and we're making it really easy for you to put your recycling in this container. I know when I used to teach yoga classes at the yoga studio I was at, the studio owners were big recyclers. I mean, really, really concerned about their environmental impact. But the recycling bin was way in the back by the trash.
Oh, okay.
And so when their customers, their yoga students would come in and they had their water bottles or whatever, they would put them in the trash out by the front. And then the studio owners would go through and pick out the recycling. And so it was not obvious to the yoga students that this was an important aspect for the owners, right? And it was important. But the hand printing piece just says, open your heart and say, here's what I believe and how I'm stepping into this. And here, let me make it easier for you to learn and understand, and join me if it feels right for you. So that's how this just beautiful hand just feels to me. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and as an artist, going into that yoga studio, it would be my purpose to make it attractive, make that process attractive to people so that, the reason why that compost bin is off site is because it's not pretty to look at.
Right.
And that's important, because we're just geared that way. So if you make it visually appealing, then it just creates it cuts away a huge barrier that just makes it more easy to interact with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to it's that blue bin that may or may not be aesthetically pleasing within your living environment, right? And the texture of it and
But it would have to be designed for that space. So there is no one size fits all. It has to be thought out. It's not a quick fix, and it has to be, okay, here's this corner of this room. How can we put something there that's beautiful and can receive compost?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's the visionary part. Oh my gosh. This is, makes my heart go pitter patter. So, so have you run into any difficulties in finding the way to express this vision that you have, this deep connection, this spiritual guidance that just is wanting to come out of you? Have you run into any roadblocks or difficulties in making that happen?
The one roadblock would be this judgment I have that it's taking too long. It's taken me too long to get to this point, but looking back, I feel like I was given everything I needed to prepare myself for this moment. And this is also a preparation for something greater that I'm not yet prepared for, but it's coming. And there's no roadblocks. And because my spiritual practice, I've found a spiritual practice that has empowered me and strengthened me to where if I get resistance, then that's actually a gift and it's actually feedback, and it only strengthens me because I'm able to see the benefits in it. But yeah, I don't know. There are going to be great challenges ahead.
I think you just described some of the resilient activists' resilience tools, and that whole concept from having a deep mindfulness meditation practice,
Right.
and not putting on your rose-colored glasses, and also not forcing something to happen before it's time. And that's can be a really difficult practice for some people, right? We hear from the IPCC about the dire immediacy of climate change. And we know that people around the world are already experiencing the impacts of sea level rise, severe weather events, and so on. And so we have this, I think, in our human makeup, I need to do something right now. And why is this not happening? And why haven't all the pieces fallen into place? And yet that stepping back and just kind of allowing whatever that higher guidance is to come in, and know that whatever you're doing at this moment, if you're doing it from your heart, you're doing it with the best of intentions, that it's exactly the right place. And like you said, a lot of times in hindsight, you can look back and say, oh, I'm glad I didn't try and do this back then because I didn't know this person, or I still needed this particular skill, or I hadn't connected with that organization yet, or whatever, or that technology.
Yep. Low self-esteem, and technology is a huge part of it too. Humanity being ready for it. There is a sense of urgency that we do need to do something now. However, we don't know how to respond with our intellects alone, and that's the problem that keeps us from responding, is that we try to figure out by ourselves. yes, something needs to be done. There's a tsunami coming. How are you going to get out of the way or prepare for that? You don't know. But if you become still, there is a greater intelligence within you that does know. And it's not necessarily what you want, but it is what you need.
Yeah.
And that is always guiding you. What do I need to do?
Wow, love it. Okay. Who or what has supported you in this process? Who's on your team?
Oh, well, my spiritual family, my inner teachers. I felt alone a lot, but I realized that they have been with me this whole time. And now I don't feel alone. As I acknowledge their presence, other people are coming forward, such as yourself, and we are getting to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a joy to start responding in a way that feels more aligned than ever before. So, who has supported me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so much. It's like I'm standing on the shoulders of everyone on the planet who's done the right thing, and also people, the rest of humanity who has been living just committing errors. You know, their errors are a teacher to us as well. So that is also supporting us because we're learning what not to do, and we're learning to respond with what's needed instead.
I think that's a huge lesson that the Resilient Activist works really hard to present, that we can spend as environmental activists, social justice activists, all the time we want telling those people what they're doing wrong, right? Looking
and
back,
not doing anything about it.
Yeah, or telling them what they should be doing about it, and also being angry about what they didn't do or what they've been doing all this time, and laying blame and so on, when it's so much easier and more joyful to simply go like this and look at this recreational power park at Swope Park and go, oh my gosh, who wouldn't love that? And so those people who don't get it, their kids are going to come to this park and everybody's
Their kids.
You know what I mean? It's like they'll bring their dogs and they're like, what? I'm going to compost my dog poop. Well, no place else to put this, may as well, right? And it's like it's the way to shift from that us versus them into just all of us in this beautiful space with some amazing technology and amazing ways of just living from a different place. So, wow.
Right. Blaming and being angry is a distraction from the response that you need to take towards that thing that you know is not right, but blaming and being angry is not the response that's needed.
Yeah.
The response is needed is to demonstrate what's really needed, and then the right people will be attracted to that.
Yeah. And, you know, the way I feel too is if we're constantly at war, we're just going to win battles now and again, right? And sometimes they're going to win battles and sometimes we're going to win battles, but the war still goes on. And so if we can just set that war aside and just simply live from and expose and bring forth uplifting, joyful, cool new things, there's no war, not fighting any war anymore.
Well, at least the war is ended within you.
Exactly.
They can keep fighting, but you are busy demonstrating peace.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so how does it feel for me to use the words that I see you as a visionary activist?
I feel honored. I feel honored by that, and I feel it resonates with me. I struggled a lot with what job I should call myself, but you know, that's one that is how I'm designed, and you as well. We're designed to bring a new vision of sustainability to the world and build it and put it into action, because we realize that talk is cheap and we have to get to work.
Yeah. Wow. So what's next for you? Do you have anything in particular that you want to share or talk about?
Well, my friend and I might be playing music today.
Oh, yeah.
See how that goes. I'm gonna do some singing. He's gonna play some guitar. I'm just, this is new for me, so because I'm on a new path and more aligned, so I just feel blessed and more given to than I could have planned for. So that's how it happens. That's how it's been happening, is just showing up and giving what I came to give. But I don't know what else to say except for thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I just have one more question. What advice would you give to someone who has something just bubbling up out of themselves from their heart, right? And they either have a self-esteem issue, or they think they don't have enough money, or they don't have this support from their family or community, or whatever reasons people can say, oh, I just can't do that. It's just not me, or it's not the right time. What advice do you have?
Well, there's the inner battle going on between what society thinks you should do, which is very powerful influence upon your mind, and that creates a lot of inner conflicts. But then there's this other part of you that knows what you should do, and that's pulling you, and you're being inspired by it, and no one else sees it but you. So you're getting it. You're getting the fact that, okay, yes, you should follow this inner knowing. So stillness and being with your experience, being loving to yourself, being gentle with yourself, and following that inner knowing, that deeper inclination you have to go in this direction. Just keep going, keep taking steps, and eventually you will build the strength that you need, and other people will be attracted to you and to help you, because you do have assistance from beyond the world. You do have spiritual teachers who are with you, who are sending you strength. So be with them. Try to be still. Try to quiet your mind and be with that deeper knowing, because it's stronger than the world if you allow it to be, if you allow it to build in yourself. That's what's here to help the world. But right now it may not be very strong, because you have to learn how to be human and to go through that huge learning process of how do I be human, but at the same time bring heaven to earth. So no wonder you're having a difficult time, because it's a balancing act before you become strong enough. So just keep going, and it's a realization. It's that you're never going to be a master. It's just always a learning. It's a huge classroom.
Words of wisdom. Wow, Jonathan, thank you so much. So in our the show notes under when we publish the video, you can provide a way if people would like to be in touch with you. Mm-hmm. And maybe some links to some of these projects where there is something actually happening, where people can get in and contribute or comment in some way.
Yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook, Jonathan Brice Lyman, and see the Power Park there, and give me a like, or just send me a message. We can talk about what's going on in your life and see how a vision wants to express itself in your life.
Wonderful. Wow, thank you so much. Anything else you want to close with?
Blessings and guidance from your inner teachers.
All right. Thanks so much, Jonathan, for your vision, for your activism, and bringing that all together, because this is good stuff.
Woo! Thank you, Sammy.